Joining me now in the studio to discuss backroom coalition deals and other alleged shenanigans by the Prime Minister is attorney Michael Partem of the Movement for Quality Government. Hi, thank you so much for coming in today.
It's a pleasure.
All right, let's start with these indications that we're getting from Attorney General Yuda Weinstein that he may oppose certain elements of the deal that was made with United Torah Judaism that prevents the giving of funds to any specific party. Because, for example, when it comes to certain allocations, such as the increase in monthly child payments to all citizens who have kids at home under the age of 18, that would benefit all families.
Well, first, it must be made clear that the coalition agreements must be publicized. They have not all been publicized. Only parts have been publicized. So we should know within a few days what the extent of the allocations are and how they're allocated. In fact, Weinstein's point, as I understand it, is that it is not a good policy or legal to give a member of parliament funds which he can dispose of at will. It may be very laudable to increase child supports, but that has to be done within the framework of the budget and the ministries. We have a situation where not only does the coalition seem to want to expand the ministries without any rhyme or reason, but purely for political expediency, but also to go around the normal ministerial budget allocations and give members of Knesset money, funds, which they can directly distribute without transparency, without accountability, and without a proper criteria.
Now, of course, Yesh Atid Party Chief Yair Lapid is planning to fight this. He's announced his intention to file a petition with the High Court to stop the expansion of ministerial posts. How would you rate the strength of his case?
It's an interesting case. It's one that we are preparing as well. So the Movement of Quality Government will be in court probably if the government goes ahead and tries to change. It's a basic law of the government. The basic law of the government requires that there be only 19 ministers, including the Prime Minister, 18 plus the Prime Minister, and that requires a special majority for amendment. Now, an interesting question is, what is that special majority? Most people have assumed until now that 61 is the special majority.
Right.
That would be difficult enough for the coalition of 61, which means that nobody could be absent from the Knesset. But there is another argument. I'm not sure we want to leak it to the lawyers for the government or lawyers for the coalition.
No, do.
But okay, so maybe they're not listening. If they're not listening, I'll tell you that the other argument is that the special section, that section which deals with the limitation on the ministries, requires a majority of 70.
Interesting.
And government does not have 70.
Clearly. Clearly it does not.
Clearly. The Supreme Court will have to decide which section of the law is predominant. In other words, is there a general special provision at the end of the law which requires an absolute majority, or is that specific provision which requires 70, is that valid? If that's valid, and that's a special provision that regarding only the size of the government, and that's what we would argue in front of the court, that is more important, or let's say overrides the general special protection.
Interesting.
I.e., that they need 70 and they don't have 70.
So you have to be an attorney to really follow this.
It'll be an interesting case in the Supreme Court. But the bottom line is the government's case is not a clear winner.
All right, we're just about out of time, but I do want to ask you about the fact that the foreign ministry is being left open right now. Is this good governance? I mean, Nir Chafetz, the Prime Minister's spokesman, said it looks like it's going to be left open for Isaac Herzog, who keeps saying he's not going to join the government. What does this mean to you? Well,
you know, we filed two petitions. The Movement for Quality Government has filed two petitions against the appointment of ministers because we feel they're unfit to perform their duties. So, but what is clear in Israel and what requires correction, in our opinion, is that the ministers are appointed without any connection to the substance of the ministry. The idea of a minister is to govern his ministry. He's to execute his duty as a minister and on that specific topic. There are many, many issues with the system the way it is that means that there's very little connect necessarily between the minister and the activity of the ministry. And I think the lack of a full-time prime minister will only breed further, shall I say, further questions, and hopefully, at one point, and I think the prime minister has actually good intentions because he's been leading reform in the past, but hopefully they'll be able to put together a coalition which will actually reform government in a way that the ministers accept responsibility for the ministry and promote the substance of the ministry above and beyond the narrow political interests.
Let's all hope so. Attorney Michael Partem, always good to have you with us. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Thank you.